Alright, howdy. Hi diddly ho there, neighbors. And hello, computer. Please catch up, computer. Hello, computer. How quaint. Oh, yes. Early 90s Star Trek movie reference. Did you get it? So, welcome to the Lost Begotten 11Z's late as shit live broadcast. Last night was a long night for reasons I'm not going to go into. But let's just say, don't be under the impression that, my wife and I are like some kind of perfect couple that would make you nauseous. No, we have discussions from time to time too. But me having had 3 older sisters and kind of started my dating career early, as it were, I know how to resolve conflicts peacefully. So everything's fine for now. No, my wife and I, we're unbreakable, okay? But, like, people, humans, have problems. And a lot of what couples wind up breaking up over is just problems that people have and a failure to address those problems as a couple. And, sometimes it starts with a slight suggestion that turns into being, like screaming and stuff. But, when cooler heads prevail, communication is achieved. And every couple has what's called healthy arguments. And I don't want anybody to be under the impression that My wife is anyway, what's the word? Submissive to me. Oh, she's not. Anyways. So, just waiting for some more people to join in before we begin. My wife was going to be joining us. She's the one who gave me that top quote. And then she had to run around the corner to babysit for somebody. So, she'll probably be back before it's over, she says. But anyways, our friend's got a adorable little baby girl. Just a cute little shit, wants to get into everything. Just chases you around. And of course, Kira misses when they were that young, before they were old enough to like kick you in the face, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, they could kick you in the face at that age and it wouldn't hurt. But anyways. So apparently the Russian foreign minister, I believe that's Sergei Lavrov, if it was the foreign minister, said, or no, I think it was the deputy foreign minister, she said. I'll pull it up on the news and we'll probably find a quote in a few minutes. But anyways, he said that the action that, Trump took in the cereal bowl was, it took us one step closer to snap, crackle, and pop. Rice Krispies. Listen to the bowl. It's talking. What's it saying? Eat it, Joes. I don't know. That's all I got. But yeah. It's funny how, the buddy thing. For some reason, hasn't been seeming to work out so well with the Puddin' Pops. Razzmatazz with the spasm muscle, blah, 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 blah. Like, what the fuck was anybody thinking? Like, that he was going to get in there and everything was going to be fine and we were just going to go, let's hold hands and run through a field and defeat ISIS together. No, that's not going to happen. Dumbasses. This guy was sent here for one purpose alone. He was targeted for one purpose alone. One quality that he cannot escape. It is inexorably exhibited by him consistently, continually. He is an egotistical dumbass. That is his primary function in reality. He's like the king of these egotistical dumbasses. And you don't have to be the king of egotistical dumbasses to be predictable. Okay? But to be the king of egotistical dumbasses, to be the unholy prince dumbass himself, that makes you more predictable, more controllable, more of a useful idiot than they could ever hope for in a little storybook. It doesn't even matter whether or not he's done this intentionally to destroy America because he hates it so much, and he really, really does seem to hate it. He says he loves it, but he hates it. He loves it like an object. He loves it like an abusable spouse, okay? But when it all comes down to it, no respect. And whether he willfully intends to help divorce himself from this thing that he claims to love, or whether or not he simply thinks he's gonna take all his money and move on to a new wife. See, what they typically do, okay, and look through history, there's a few little conspiracies here and there about this, is when they send you a hysterectomy, they always have some island somewhere, some backup country, where they're going to live happily ever after in secret. And that's what ties them back each time to the greater plot. That plot that makes sure you are busy accusing your own government of being some sort of Illuminati whatever. You know, if the Freemasons were in control of our government, we'd probably be better off right now, depending on the Freemasons. See what blanket propaganda that's been presented on, the tubes here has presented is okay, Murphy has breaking news. Go ahead with your breaking news, baby. Anyways, it's a blanket accusation against Freemasonry, not understanding the truth that they use is the guilt of a few specific Freemason guilds, like the Boo Bucks Bland. That started as a Freemasonry guild. Anyways. Murphy's, Kira, what is the breaking news? Face of Mur? Are you banned? No. No. Governments are good. It's generally speaking oligarchies that are the problem, if you look at history. Oligarchies always come in with propaganda machines that want to make you think your government is bad. Just government is bad. Generally speaking, you can spot oligarch-funded propaganda by a blanket talking point tie-in of government bad and other hot potatoes. Yeah, I get delays. We get all kinds of interesting problems here. And the only way this channel has made any money hasn't been from ads. Every time I get a video that starts getting ads and clicks on it, they pretty much like make it stop. Like you should see the bar graphs I got to deal with. Very big delay. Who? Rosy? Are they Rosy worry ships? I tried to tell you. I tried to save you. Again. Yes, Russia has sent 2 warships after our naval destroyers. Before I pull up the news feed, I'm going to do something I've been meaning to show y'all for a while. It's how to pray. Not in church, not in a group. What to do when you know you need God's help. And, you know, I got bad knees and a broken back, but this is how I do it. You don't need any words. You don't need a mantra. You don't need a slogan. You don't need a happy thought. You just need to find a way that you can show God that you're humble. You don't do it in public. You don't do it to show anybody else. You don't do it in a big crowd where all your farts point the same general direction. Just get down and pray. And just confess what you want and ask for forgiveness for yourself and for everyone that you're praying for. And this is how I do it. And I'm sorry, I got to stop the broadcast for a second and I got to do this. Another chance. Please. Let me find a way. There's gotta be a way. Please stop this. I don't know what the fuck I did wrong. I don't know what else I could have done. You know, like the only thing I can even think of is say fuck a little less. But you know what? I'm just not capable of that. Couldn't do it in school, couldn't do it at work. Sure as fuck can't do it on a channel where I'm sitting there speaking my thoughts openly. Don't know what I could have done to reach out to the right people in time to stop all this from happening. I tried. And the only thing we can do now is pray. That's the only thing we can do now. I'm going to go ahead and full screen the comments. It's fucked up that was happening while I was making that map. Maybe I should just go back to sleep. So, Kira's around the corner babysitting. My wife. She comes in, interrupts as I'm talking about the deliberate setup to lead us into war. And she's telling us that two more than likely corvettes, because they're designed specifically to go after our destroyers, have gone after the 4 warships. Now there's a couple of at least 1 or 2 Russian destroyers. There's 3 to 5 corvettes between the Baltic and, you know, the coast of Palestine, or whatever you kids call it these days. And there's the Russian aircraft carrier, and, you know, presumably some submarines. So they sent the corvettes, which are the most intimidating boats. You know, I'm just assuming this is how they would do it. And, you know, y'all know I'm probably right, because I usually fucking am, because it's my curse. And, you know, doesn't matter. My mom and I, Lacey says, my mom and I were talking about how we haven't prayed in a long time. Like, really pray. 2 years ago, Carlos says, I wouldn't imagine I would pray. Thanks to this channel I started some time ago. Lacey, trying to manifest the God within myself took up so much of my energy, and nothing ever went right. Yeah, it's just a path to selling your soul, and nothing could go right until you get to that point. All you can do is try not to be envious of those who's managed to simplify things so much. Who've mentioned the words. English motherfucker. I do speak it. Lacey, I just recently realized, right, that it was exactly what the enemy wants, to take focus off God. Nothing can be done without God, my wife says. The guy with the really awesome name says, I've been sensing the buildup to it all this week. Just felt it in the air. Been praying about it too. God help us all. I wonder how many people who thumbs down my videos and flagged me and tried to call me an agent. And that fucking douchebag that comes up when you search for my channel. I wonder how long it's going to take them to realize. I was just trying to save their lives. I mean, what about this channel seemed like it had some sort of paid agenda? This channel has never made money until recently when y'all started helping out. I never thought even that I would get like more than like 300 or 400 subscribers. And I wound up with 3,000 subscribers in a year and a half with not a single paid to promote video, not a single bot helping me, nothing. All I wanted to do on this channel was to reach out to people that had channels and to help them. And I figured if I contributed to flat earth theory, maybe they would hear me out about Russia, considering that it's at the middle of the fucking map. I wonder how many of those people that I tried to reach out to, and other hot potatoes, are going to remember, even going to have the fucking second thought. Oh shit, that one guy who I said was just talking about the Red Scare. One guy trying to spread Russophobia. Just an Obama shill. I never even got called a Soros shill until this fucking election happened. I wonder if they're going to remember. Not expecting him to come crawling back. But I hope they at least repent in their own hearts. Anyways. Lacey, it's easy to do when you're an open-minded spiritual person, but I had to remember to go back to what I knew from the beginning. Prayer. Maximo, prayer has kept me alive. Amen. Such a blessing. Wouldn't be anywhere without God's grace, love, mercy, and faith. Indeed. It tells me I should obey government and be a good slave. Well, that's ridiculous. First of all, what tells you? Second of all, what idea are you attributing to this abstract concept of government? I mean, I understand going to work is hard, but the fact of the matter is, there was actual slavery before we had our present government, and it dominated most of the world. And as our government becomes weaker, guess what? Just as I've been warning you for 2 years on this channel, slavery is becoming more dominant. And the mafia oligarchy of Nod consumes the world. Sean says, the other Sean, Maximo, I don't know where I'd be, too, without prayer and all I've received from God. Chautauqua, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I seriously doubt it. Chautauqua says, there's only one true God and a whole lot of pretenders. Indeed. Truth. Lacey says, I haven't tithed or given in years. I know it wasn't much, but it was how I showed my surrender in a way. Yeah, just hard to find the right church to give to, I'll tell you that much. Oh, and who better to give to? Yeah, I appreciate the contributions on this channel. I mean, my low bar used to be around $34 for the 28-day total that they show you in the channel manager app. Now it's down to 24 and just dropping every day. But thanks to the people who have figured out the riddle, that's what we're going to call it, you know. Solve a riddle, save a channel, or help a channel. I'm not, the channel ain't going anywhere. Hopefully. But, what is it again? My channel's name, where you'd go if you had to say that you were disappointed it wasn't a girl. Yeah. Ah, gee. That's a male. And let's just say we were kind of worried about not being able to pay rent at all. And thanks to like 4 or 5 people on here that have sent us a few contributions, and one person who sent us something pretty shocking today, and I can't quite figure out who that person is. We're still going to have to declare bankruptcy, but at least we're able to pay the lawyer to do so now. And that's cool. We've managed to not get our car insurance lapse, which is going to be yesterday. I think we're caught up on this. Well, we're halfway caught up on the cell phone bill. So yeah, like less panicking it's very nice, and I have to thank everybody for that. Now that World War III has started, or 4 or whatever, 4.2. Fuck's sake. Ha. Yeah, Kira raises an interesting point that I've tried to live by. Rather than giving, 10% of your money to the church, if you're underemployed, for instance, how about you give 10% of your time to the church? 4 hours a week. Doesn't sound like much. And maybe if you give that, if you're employed 28 hours a week and you want to surrender to God and acknowledge that He's the one paying your bills because you can't make enough money. Okay, you're relying on remembering to turn the lights off. You're reminding on random competence that is assisted by God, helping you remember things. Okay, this really happens, y'all. To make sure that you stay on top of your shit, you're relying on God to make sure that no bad luck happens to you that's going to put you in unexpected financial difficulty when you're only making 28 hours a week. But if, when it comes to tithing, you go and put the full 40 hours worth of tithing in, and you spend 4 hours a week helping other people somehow, some way, whatever you're good at, whatever you can do. Don't send nobody money unless you know they need help. Unless, like, obviously I've been asking for money, and I'm trying to provide a service, and I'm trying to be here for y'all regularly and keep y'all informed and keep hope alive for the few dozen people who wind up tuning into these videos. But like when it comes to churches, make sure that church has an outreach person. Make sure that church program. Make sure that church is feeding the homeless every week. Make sure they have a mission in Africa and Central America. Make sure they do good with that money, and they're not just trying to build more church. That's just been a good way. I've been to a lot of churches in a lot of places, a lot of states, a couple countries, and that's always been the way to figure out what kind of church you're at. Okay, and some churches might even seem a little self-righteous, and they might even seem a little boring. But you know what? If they're doing the right thing, God's going to put it on that preacher's heart to teach you something. Somehow, some way, you're going to learn something there. If you find that place that helps the hungry, that helps third world countries, that still remembers what it means to be a church. But those places are few and far between. And the best way to go about it, I still think, for most people, for underemployed people especially, you put that 40 hours worth of work, you put that 4 hours in, 10% of your 40 hours, and you go spend 4 hours, 4 days a week, an hour a day, 1 day on the weekend for 4 hours, put you in a little overtime. Come on, do it for God. Do it till you get bored. Do it till your back hurts. Get you a big old can of beans, a couple links of sausage, and a whole bunch of rice. You'll make red beans and rice. Go hand it out. Don't forget to call the local authorities. Make sure you can, seek a proper venue for it. But man, there's different things that we have done. Is there a house on your street that looks like shit? Go ask them if they're having problems. Go ask them if they need some help fixing something, painting their house, doing some yard work. Instead of driving by that house saying, God, that house looks like shit. I wish they'd fucking do something about it. Why don't you go in there and check and see if there's a fucking dead body inside? Sorry, a little bit of Katrina PTSD kicking in. But you don't know. People like to cast judgment on other people and use it as an excuse not to help. And it's been my life experience that that's what it means to be a Republican. And though I'm a Christian, I vote Democrat. Because at least they're fucking willing to help people. Anyways. Lacey says, right, I feel the same way. But when I gave a very little, it was more for me to do what I felt I needed to do for me. Right. The Bible. In regards to it tells me you should obey government and be a good slave. Technically, it says, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. Now, of course, this is a matter of interpretation. And, well, it's talking about me. The government depended on me. And now the government is a burden, like a yoke, on my shoulders, weighing me down. And I don't know if it's too late for anybody to come help me pick it back up so I can keep walking. But I'm going to keep going even if I got to crawl. Going to work is easy. You have your own company. And you're worried about being a slave. You know, people can misinterpret the Bible and brainwash people with it. But then you can misinterpret green eggs and ham and brainwash people with it. I'm sure there's a conspiracy about that on YouTube. Following through with the tug in my heart, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just feel like you got to do something. Sometimes you just like, you know, you see just the fuckery, the bullshit that goes on. People being shitty to each other. Just while they're trying to drive to work. Just to feed their families. Risking their lives. In a tin can with wheels. And sometimes you just got to find some way, and that's the only way you can find in a lot of communities. The only way you find to feel like you're helping. Put a little money in that basket as it passes. That's okay. And if that's your church in your local area, and they aren't doing anything to help people with that money, you get in there and try to make them. Try to convince them to. There's always a way. Brainwashing hurts to watch. Time is often more valuable than money. Yes, indeed. Is that charity for the lady who was ripped off? Is it coming along well? We should be picking up materials this weekend. I believe they're on order or whatever. And we got super busy doing estimates for people who, either bought a plate of jambalaya or just heard of the thing and wanted to give us a call. So, talk about you reap what you sow. This started as I was going to try to collect a little money on here on PayPal, and we were going to go just see if we could patch up what was there to make the place livable for the lady. But now we're going to make it like a recurring monthly theme where we pick somebody out. And I think my wife said we already had one person possibly picked out for the next project. So I guess if the materials get dropped off at the site this weekend, I guess they'll get started next week. I don't know. But I'll keep y'all updated as soon as I find out more about it. I mean, if my wife comments something, I'll read it. All right, we had the plate sale, and we were able to raise all the money for our materials. When we finish, we're going to find someone else. Yep. Lacey has another storm she has to confront. You go, girl. This is just what I needed before I go do this. Have fun with that. All right. So, I take it since my wife joined us in the comments that she's not going to be coming over right away. So, I guess I could try to remember why the hell I put these images up here before I go check the news and headlines and try to get a more up-to-date picture of what's going on here. So, basically, I just wanted to show, look how we have Russia surrounded. Look how we have the poor communist Islamic horde surrounded. How dare we, big, evil, bad Americans and their slavery Bible. You know, not the Quran, which actually, doesn't have a new covenant. Okay. If you're having trouble with people who seem to act like they're salamis by, telling you a bunch of baloney, they don't get, and this is why they call them Old Testament Christians, okay? They don't get that there's a new covenant and that the Old Testament law was for the wilderness times, okay? Those are for hard times in which genetic preservation of the human race was kind of a priority. That's hardly the case now. There's quite a few humans. There's been quite a few humans for quite a long time. And 2,000 years ago, there was this guy, I don't know if you heard of him, but he said that he was fulfilling the old covenant and establishing a new covenant. And he made it very clear in many different ways that the old laws of, say, executing homosexuals and taking children and, claiming them as slaves, those kind of piss God off now. Okay? And, you don't have to take my word for it. Just read the four Gospels. But, the stuff that I teach about the four Gospels is going to give you a lot better context of understanding, especially concerning how we got from there to this point. It used to be, beware of those who say they are Jews and are not. But remember, Those words were spoken to a whole lot of Jews. Now, it's beware of those who are Christians, who say they are Christians and are not. Beware of those who say they are Jews and are not. Beware of those who say they are anything and are not. Judge them by their works. So anyways, the UN convenes to conspire to help people. And their map is a simple top-down projection. I'm sure most of the people at the UN have no idea that the world might be flat. They don't know that it's even a possibility that they've been fooled. They just see a top-down projection, because if you look at the way that map is skewed, it is a top-down projection. But then the shilliest, shillery shill channels of them all, suspiciously, while promoting their anti-Western government agenda, wanted to make you think of reality as a big roulette wheel. And while the UN conspires to help people, this particular roulette wheel is where oligarchs conspired to become more oligarchy. But, you know, we have them surrounded. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what the hell's going on. After I get my window straight. There we go. Perfect. Stop it. Stop it. So now we're going to do news powered by Microsoft. Microsoft. It's what Dad has. That's all I got. 39 minutes ago, Ambassador Haley says the U.S. is prepared to take further military action in Syria. Trump considering ousting Bannon and Previous altogether. Yeah, I mean, he better turn on all them fucking people if he expects to be turned into an American. Confirmed to the Supreme Court, Gorsuch will be sworn in Monday if, you know, the person who appointed him doesn't go to jail, and if, you know, the Congress is still there. Little things. Assad condemns U.S. missile strike as arrogant aggression. U.S. is probing whether Russia took part in the chemical weapons attack. Yeah, they did come out with the propaganda there really quickly, saying that it was a weapons depot that could have had an accident. They had that story ready ahead of time almost, huh? And if they had a story ready ahead of time, that's the best way to figure out that they were behind something. You know, if what they suddenly have to say just seems a little too well thought out, a little too clever. Are they reading from a fucking playbook? Or do they have a data plan? You know? So, some Syrians are hopeful Airstrike will bring Assad to justice. Oh, that's a hell of a hope. Reprimands officer accused in killing over TV comments. Oh, for fuck's sake. Ha, okay. Trying to stay focused. U.S. lawmakers ask for disclosure of numbers of Americans under surveillance. Numbers of Americans under surveillance. Oh, yeah, because that's what's important. Not figuring out the fucking traitors in our midst. Going after the people who are trying to figure out who's the traitors in our midst. Okay, come on, man. I'm going to go do the world. World peas. World peas. That's what I'm visualizing. World peas. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Angers Russia. Let's see if that actually fucking says anything. Dear, if you're still watching, can you tell me what website or source to check? I guess fucking should I go to CNN.com or whatever? Let's see if because MSNBC doesn't update their website that quickly. Gorsuch on the front page. Oh, this isn't promising. U.S. strike in Syria is illegal. Yeah, I was just saying something about it yesterday about the War Powers Act thing. It's a little thing. Can't escalate an ongoing conflict past a period of, I think, 6 months or something like that. So, let's see. Can I look at a page, please? Not trying to look at a video. Oh, God. Well, you know what? Never mind, MSNBC. I thought we could be friends. So, world leaders rallied around the United States after it launched a missile strike early Friday on a Syrian airbase in response to this week's chemical attack. You need more commas. While Russia condemned the move as, quote, aggression and suspended crucial coordination with Washington in Syria's congested skies, oh boy, we've suspended deconfliction. That's kind of fucked up. See, they need more comments. I don't know. While Russia condemned, the overnight missile attack, which marked the first time the U.S. has directly targeted Syrian President Bashar Assad's forces, was condemned by his allies in Russia and Iran, but welcomed by the Syrian opposition and its supporters, who expressed hope that it signaled a turning point in the devastating 6-year-old civil war. The bombing represents Trump's most dramatic military order since taking office, and thrust the U.S. administration deeper into the complex Syria conflict. The Obama administration threatened to attack Assad's forces after previous chemical attacks, but never followed through. And in fact, a week ago, and I'm going to just add this since, the Associated Press didn't include this, that a week ago, the Trump administration pulled back pressure on Assad, pulled back the policy, backed down, said, "Oh, we're not going to oust Assad. We're probably not going to do anything over there." That's called emboldening the enemy. Dumbasses. So now, about 60 Tomahawk missiles hit the Sharat Air Base, a small installation with 2 runways, where aircraft often take off to bomb targets in northern and central Syria. The U.S. missiles hit at 3:45 a.m. Friday and targeted bases, airstrips, hangars, control tower, and ammunition areas, according to U.S. officials. They were fired from 2 warships in the Mediterranean Sea in retaliation for Tuesday's deadly chemical attacks, which officials said used chlorine mixed with a nerve agent, possibly sarin. Judging by the looks of it, I would personally say that it was diluted VX, nerve gas. And, they didn't identify it until after I said that. They identified it as sarin. And yeah, it might be sarin. I'm not that familiar with sarin, but it looked a hell of a lot like nerve gas to me. So anyways, just the quickness, the lethality of it, the reactions, the convulsion. Oh, God. So the investigation should be leading into whether that was manufacturable sarin or diluted VX from, a rose bush. My wife seems to think it looked like sarin. It was just horrifying. Assad's office called the U.S. missile strike reckless and irresponsible. The Syrian military said at least 7 people were killed and 9 wounded. Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, an opposition monitor, said the 7 included a general and 3 soldiers. The Kremlin said President Vladimir Putin believes the U.S. strike is an aggression, a quote, aggression against a sovereign state in violation of international law. Whoa. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Washington's move deals a significant blow to the Russia-U.S. relations, which are already in a deplorable shape, and poses a serious obstacle for creating international coalition against terrorism, which we supply and plan and conduct. No, wait, he didn't say that part. Oh, sorry. Russia said it was suspending a memorandum with Washington, signed after Russia began an air campaign in support of Assad in September 2015, under which the 2 exchange information about their sorties over Syria, the deconfliction agreement. Yeah, Oh, but chemical warfare isn't okay by international law, says my wife. Here, I can, maybe I can do the comments kinda too. There we go. There, now you can comment and be seen, so feel free to chime in while I'm reading. The Kremlin said just 23 of the 59 missiles reached the airbase, destroying 6 Syrian jets but leaving the runway intact. Huh. A U.S. official said all but one of the 59 missiles struck their targets, hitting multiple aircraft and air shelters and destroying the refueling area. The official, who was not authorized to discuss initial reports, spoke on the condition of anonymity. A U.S.-led coalition has been bombing Islamic State targets in Syria since 2014, while Russia's Air Force has been striking both extremist groups and Syrian rebels in order to aid Assad's forces. Saudi Arabia and Turkey, which support the Syrian opposition, welcomed the missile strike, with Riyadh calling it an courageous decision by Trump. Iran called it a dangerous move that would strengthen terrorists and exacerbate the conflict. Hezbollah, an Iran-backed Lebanese group that has sent thousands of fighters to Syria to bolster Assad. Okay. Hold on. Just hold on. Hold on. Hezbollah, a Soviet-backed Uzbekistani, Dagestani, Tajikistani, whatever Istani, Pikistani, Pakistani, put a stani in your pipe and smoke a stani, group. Not Lebanese, although, you know, they're I'm sure there's Lebanese. I'm sure some of them are Lebanese people. Has sent thousands of fighters. See that sounds more realistic. You know, little tiny country just sending thousands of fighters to bolster Syria's Assad. Oh yeah, I'm sure Assad needed Lebanon's help. Ha! Said the foolish strike would lead to a dangerous escalation in the region. The British government said it was informed in advance about the strike and firmly supports the American action. Prime Minister Theresa May's office says the action was an appropriate response to the barbaric chemical weapons attack launched by the Syrian regime and is intended to deter further attacks. France, Italy, and Israel also welcome the strikes. The opposition Syrian coalition said the U.S. attack puts an end to the age of impunity, quote, and should herald the start of a larger campaign against Damascus. Damascus. Let's just call it Damascus, where all the dumbass shit starts from. Including, and let's just recap for those of you who might have not, joined us yesterday or the day before that. We have what's called the road to Damascus. We have a map, okay? And that is not the right map. I'm going to get the right map. Just a second. Not that map. You're not the mama. Not the mama. Okay. That showed the road, but here I have the road highlighted in yellow, okay? Now, do you remember how there just seemed to be a never-ending supply of munitions in the hands of people in like Fallujah and Al-Anbar province? Well, see how that little yellow line goes through Al-Anbar province and Fallujah, etc., etc. And where does it come from? It comes from Damascus. Dumbass. Don't cuss. You should have known this, but you didn't. It's okay. Now you do. And now you realize why we're about to go to war with Russia. Okay? It's not about Syria. It's about the fact that the Cold War never ended. We thought it ended for a while. We got duped into some bullshit. And that bullshit, let me look it up because I'm tired of fucking guessing. I'm tired of estimating. How many U.S. soldiers died in Iraq? $4,487 dead. 32,226 wounded. And I'm not saying there wouldn't have been an insurgency if it wasn't for the Russian-supplied Assad regime perpetuating the conflict. But you're probably looking at 3 times as many as there would have been if it wasn't for that bastard doing what he did. So, Major Jamil al-Saleh, a U.S.-backed rebel commander based in the area where the U.S. attack took place, told the Associated Press he hoped the strike would be a, quote, turning point in the 6-year-old war, which has killed an estimated 400,000 people. And then let's also count the Iraqi civilians that got killed by the insurgency campaign, by the never-ending supply of explosive materials that just happened to show up there. Assad had been under mounting international pressure after a chemical attack on the northern town of Khan Sheikhoun, which killed 87 people, including 31 children. Even Russia has said its support is not unconditional. Oh, sure. Yeah. They were backed into a corner and had to say something to save face, so they said that. How nice for them. Syria denied using chemical weapons. Russia has said the toxic agents were released when a Syrian airstrike had a rebel chemical weapons arsenal, and its blame should not be a person until full investigation has been completed. Whoa. Sean cannot see Kira's comments in his chat. Okay. Kira said, by the way, they were convulsing on the Park Sarin. It'll be chemical warfare. Is okay by international law? In response to them saying we had broken international law. I doubt less than half made it. A few might have missed. Maybe. All the Stannies. The different Stannies that, are the Lebanese Hezbollah militias. And the Iranian, they're from all over the fucking place. And they just say, we're from here. That's how they do shit. We're local, we're from here. They come to one place from another place and say they're from a different place so that you don't know where the fuck they came from. It's just that simple, folks. It's just that simple. They just don't want you to know where the fuck they came from. So they say they're from Iran. They say they're from, and, some of them actually are from Iran because eventually the Iranian separatist movement took over, and that was, communist-funded, communist fucking operation against the CIA's backed Shah, Oh, and human rights are much better now. You can tell that by all the women on the streets. So, Russia's military intervention in Syria has turned the balance of power in Assad's favor. And Moscow has used its veto power at the Security Council on several occasions to prevent sanctions against Damascus. The U.S. had initially focused on diplomatic efforts, pressing the UN Security Council to adopt a resolution to condemn Syria's suspected use of chemical weapons. But the vote was canceled because of differences among the 15 members. The Security Council plans to meet at 11:30 a.m. today, I guess, for a briefing on the U.S. strike. In Geneva, the UN envoy for Syria told the AP his office is in crisis mode after the strike, and that he would soon convene an urgent meeting of Syrian ceasefire task force, chaired by the United States and Russia. Oh boy. Stefan de Mistura said Russia requested the meeting, which was, quote, agreed upon by the United States. The envoy has been spearheading peacemaking efforts for nearly 3 years with little progress, I'll say. Trump had said the chemical attack crossed many, many lines and put the blame squarely on Assad's forces. Speaking Thursday on Air Force One, Trump said the attack shouldn't have happened, but it shouldn't be allowed to happen. Thanks, Obama. A survivor of the chemical attack said he hopes the U.S. missile attacks puts an end to government airstrikes, creating a safe area for civilians. Allah al-Yusuf, who lost 25 relatives in the chemical attack, lost his whole family, said the U.S. missile strike alleviates a small part of our suffering, but he worries it will be an anesthetic that merely numbs the pain while allowing the international community to save face. Thank you to Albert Aji in Damascus, John Gambrel in Dubai, Vladimir Ashenkov in Moscow, Lolita C. Baldor in Washington, Jamie Keaton in Geneva for contributing to this report. Yeah. So I guess refresh and see if we got an update on what the hell is happening with those ships, man. So it's funny, while Russia's showing the world how shitty it is, that all these other little attacks happen to be happening. Quick, a diversion. So we can sit around the table and talk peace. Yeah, I just read them out. You were being censored earlier. Sean couldn't see your comments. I see. Well, I think I see your comments. They're up on the screen. If they're showing up for me, they're showing up there. That's showing what I see, I think. I haven't seen that get edited too much. I've seen my webcam feed get edited. My webcam feed get edited quite a lot. Hers weren't showing up earlier, or earlier, whichever you prefer. Okay. What website, baby, since you're watching again, what website did you see the story? Who was reporting that about the Russian warships? Oh, for fuck's sake. Breitbart? Breitbart, Business Insider, and Fox. Interesting. Very interesting.
K820.
And as John was speaking, we just got some word of military response from the Russians. Fox News has learned that a Russian warship, the Admiral Gorsuch, has entered the eastern Mediterranean. It cruised through the Straits of Bosphorus a few hours ago. It is now heading toward the two U.S. Navy destroyers that launched the airstrikes last night. Now, this is far from saying that there is a military confrontation ahead. Maybe it's just an information gathering mission. But for whatever reason, the Soviets have decided to send a frigate into the eastern Mediterranean in the same area where the two American destroyers are that launched those cruise missile strikes last night on Syria. We will keep our eyes on this Russian ship as best we can, let you know more about what's happening there.
Well, there it is. So, I think I'm going to call it a broadcast, folks.
Fox News alert: Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff briefing U.S. senators last hour on President Trump's decision to launch cruise missiles at Syria.
I don't know. I couldn't really hear all of it. I have the volume turned down so it didn't echo. But yeah, this is getting interesting. We're just going to blunder our way right into this shit. Why? Because we don't have Hillary Clinton as president, that's why. And I guess anything else I had on the little subject thing, I'll cover tonight. In the meantime, thanks for joining, thanks for contributing, thanks for chatting, and I'll see y'all this evening. I got an upload, a game upload for you. Click the like button. Click the like button on the game upload too when I get it up there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe. Peace. Make sure you're subscribed. Click like. And pray. Takes my pain back to raise out of another